as we will live stream our meeting tonight, and you may view the captions in a variety of other languages if you wish to watch after the meeting has ended. Viewers may request additional accommodations by calling 650-558-2201. For deaf and hard of hearing community, we have a team from Hannah Interpreting Services, and they will be interpreting our meeting this evening. We would like to ask everyone to speak clear and reasonable pace for our interpreters. Thank you. Is Enrique here now? Trying to get in. Okay, so we'll keep going. I can just report out from closed session that there was nothing to report and no action was taken. Welcome, everybody. We'll get started. Hopefully the interpreter will be on in just a second. I can keep going. All right, I will. So this is a public meeting of the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during public comment section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out a request to address the board form and submit it to our secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before the agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized when invited to do so by the board president for each item on which you will wish to comment. You will be admitted to speak as a panelist during your public comment period. The board president will call on you. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allotted for the public comment depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. Thank you. One last time for translation. He's still trying. Okay. We'll give it a second because then we can start the meeting. Okay, for those who are following along, we're going to start with open session, organization of, and F, organization of the Board of Trustees. And we'll start there as soon as we get our translator set. It's good to see a good audience again. It's nice. Mm-hmm. There you go. I know our first agenda item is swearing in our newly elected board members, trustees, and it's great to see in the audience members to support them. Thank you for being here. Just move on. I feel guilty doing it, but we're going to move on. Thank you. So our first F1 is swearing of newly elected officials. I'm going to turn it over now to our superintendent, Randall Booker, and he's going to help us swear in our new trustees.
Thank you, Trustee Land. So this evening, I have the honor of welcoming and congratulating our 3 newly elected trustees of the board, Ms. Terry Chavez, Ms. Jennifer Jacobson, and Mr. Robert Griffin. So welcome, welcome back. So this evening, we're going to go through our oath of office. So if the 3 of you could please stand. And you're going to repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Terry Chavez,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Welcome.
So the three of you are now seated and officially on our board.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We do have, for this, we do have one speaker who would like to speak. So we'd like to have Jennifer Blanco come on up and come to the dais. Trustee Blanco. Press the red, yeah. The person,
The one
You
on
got
the
it.
right.
when your red button goes on, you know
That's the
you're
right
on.
one.
There you go.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Superintendent Booker, newly to our district, and to all of administration and the trustees here. My name is Jennifer Blanco. I'm trustee from San Bruno Park School District for the past 15 years. I am also class of '89 Cappuccino Mustangs. Woohoo! When the great Mr. Samuel Johnson was our principal. So I'm here because I wanted to come and show my support to my former colleague, trustee Chavez. And I just wanted to congratulate you in person and tell you that it has been a very challenging 4 years in our district, but I'm very proud of you that you are moving on to serve in a larger capacity. I know that you are a true equity champion. That's something I hope that she rubbed off from me. But I know that this district is in better hands because you're here. And so congratulations, and I wish you the best. And if she gives you guys any trouble, you guys know who to call. And Jennifer, I love your name, by the way. I know you're new to this. Although I've been serving my community for 15 years, that doesn't actually, my involvement with PTA, actually it's a little bit more years. My oldest is 31, also graduate of Cappuccino. So she's 31. I tell people, you do the math of how long I've been serving my community, but I also wish you the best and be ready to learn a lot. I always give trustees my advice, unsolicited advice. It's the mother switch. I just cannot. I'm also a parent, single parent of 5 children. It's a switch we just can't turn off. But policies, read policies, because that's what governs us. That's what guides our work. And so anyways, congratulations. And congratulations to you, Mr. Griffin. So anyways, have a good meeting. And I'm looking forward to what this district brings in the future.
Thank you. Excellent. Appreciate that. Trying to see if there's anybody. Did we get the trend? I noticed I was hearing the translations. Do you need a moment to kind of fix that or open things up? You got it. Because I know we need to open, I think we're going to open up the Spanish chat room so that we can have people listening in Spanish. So it's not. Thank you for coming. For those who are. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna. Let me know if you want me to move on or you want me to wait. Okay, so I'm gonna just move on. F2 is the designation of new officers. So I'm hoping to entertain a motion to figure out who's going to be president, vice president, secretary of the board, and clerk. Anyone?
Sorry, I apologize.
Hello,
Motion.
Hold on. I think they're going to get the window open for the Spanish interpretation.
I am on the same account. The only thing it says that I should update my account so as to be able.
I got to say, watching the screen, getting to see all the different audience and different camera views, we have great technology. I'm just going to say that we really do. So yeah, let's try it again. All right. Okay, Bob, I want to try that again.
Okay, it's for the slate, right?
Yes.
Okay. I will make a motion for you, trustee Land, for president, you, Lihia, and I've just had a senior moment because I haven't said your name. That was like, oh,
For vice president.
Yeah.
And clerk.
and I'll nominate myself for clerk.
Great. And Mr. Booker for.
Oh, secretary. It's not, is it written down here?
No, no, I know
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Okay.
All right.
Trustee Booker is.
There's a motion for a
Superintendent.
slate. Is there a second?
Let me just interrupt really quickly. We also need a nomination for the district rep for the county committee on school district organization. So there are really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions: president, VP, secretary, clerk, district rep.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, okay, so.
Well, I thought we normally do the officers because
So
it's not
we
a,
normally do the officers and then we argue about this last one.
yeah, the rest of it.
Trust
So
me on this. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'd like to second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Do we need to roll call or we just, we do? So I'm gonna mess up because I don't need to know the order. So who drew straws and who's the last on the straw? So Jennifer, you got the last straw. Okay, so how do you vote, Jennifer?
Aye or yes?
Yes, either way
Okay.
works.
Okay.
Perfect. Terry,
Aye.
Bob,
I,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye, 5-0. We have a slate. Okay,
Thank
look for your little things in the front and we now get to put them
Yay.
in where it
Thank you.
goes. So,
Thank you.
and thank you, Shar, for helping Lihia. That's awesome. And you get to be
Thank you.
clerk. Is there a clerk thing right there? There you go.
I have a question.
Sure.
And it has to do with roll call votes versus acclamation, because before I understood that we could, and it had to do with not having everybody in the same room. And now we're back. Is that state law that we still have to have roll call? Or are we just going to have roll call?
It's roll call.
Yes, roll call.
It's roll call for almost everything at this point. Just because there was a Brand Act law that was done
That's
a
what I'm
couple years
asking.
ago, not just with COVID, but also just
COVID.
in general. And so now we have to do everything by vote, a
Okay.
single vote. All right. Okay, so we are done with our business in the organization of trustees, but we have something very important to do. So I don't know who I'm going to turn this over to, but we'd like to honor our leaving trustees. I am very sad to say that trustee Peter Hanley and trustee Linda Lees Dwyer.
Greg,
Oh.
I think you forgot to do the
Oh,
district yeah, we- representative.
Hey, being president again, I'm just like, okay, anybody want to do this? All right. Okay, this is the one where the board shall appoint a district representative for the county committee on school district organization for 1 year. I'm open to anyone wanting to do this.
I would like, through the chair, I would like to have that opportunity. If nobody
Okay,
else wants that.
does
I'll
somebody
second
want to?
that.
You'll
I'll
second
second
that. So you nominate yourself. You got a second. All right, let's do the vote. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Good. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Leah,
Aye.
and I vote aye. 5-0. You are now the board
Yay.
committee for organization. You're on that committee. Excellent. All right, moving right along. Now we go to 3, honoring our former trustees, Peter Hanley and Linda Lees Dwyer. So, Mr. Booker, Superintendent Booker, do you want to start or how are we going to do this?
I would love to start just to do a quick intro. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to thank everyone in the audience for coming this evening and for people on Zoom. This is a really special occasion to honor 2 of our outgoing trustees. I've told lots of people this is not something I'm used to, right? So I come from a district that has term limits. And so to have 2 trustees serving over 20 years each in their capacity is truly amazing. I mean, it's truly a vocation. It's a position and a role of giving and service. And I just want to start off by thanking both of you for your service. I'm so unfortunate to have only worked with both of you for 6 months. But in those 6 months, I've learned so much. You've helped me both so much come to understand this district, understand the values of this district, what to pay attention to, what to listen to, who to listen to, all of those things. So I just want to first start off and say really sincere, deep thoughts and thanks and admiration, really. I mean, to serve for that long and to give so much of your heart. And both of these trustees, they're not, like 60,000 foot trustees, right? They go to events and participate and read everything and have deep convictions and deep thoughts about all of these policy issues, and what I've gotten to see over the past 6 months is real deep concern for individual students and individual families. And that's remarkable in a district our size. So just from me to the both of you, such a heartfelt thanks and admiration. You're both are going to be truly missed. And but we're going to see you around a lot. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but we'll see you around a lot. I know there are a lot of people here that want to offer some words, so I'm going to hand it back to you, President Land.
And so I think before you hear from us, I think you need to hear from some of these wonderful people in the audience who might want to say a word or two. I see one individual in particular, Kevin. Dr. Skelly, would you like to come up and say a few words? It is great to see you.
Nice to be back and to be at a meeting in person and
Get the mic. You know the mic thing.
I don't.
Uh-oh.
It's a whole new
There you go.
system.
It's right. There you
Did
go.
I do fine?
Live.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, Bob, I'm delighted that you chose to sign up for another 4 years. It's really important for the district at this time. So it's wonderful that you're here, and welcome new board members. It's nice to see such competent and caring faces on the dais. I do want to say a few words about Linda and Peter as they head off from the board. I think both of them, while they're two very, very, very different people, have hallmarks of the best things about this board. They're dedicated and they're hardworking. They always are prepared for meetings. They've always done their homework. I just remember Linda saying, "This is our job. We're here to make decisions." And just that commitment to doing what a trustee needs to do. They're warm demanders of students. They want to see students be healthy, but they also really expect them to learn. One of the characteristics that I thought was so true during our tenure, and Peter and Linda modeled this so well, was to disagree agreeably. We had a lot of discussions over the 7 years here that were where people had different opinions, but as soon as the vote was taken and however the vote turned out, and often these two board members were on different sides, but no matter what, we went on to the next item and we continued to do the work, and we didn't revisit issues unless there was a really good reason to do that. 38 years is a long time of combined service to the district. So that's a lot of hard work. Peter, you have an intellectual level. Your speeches at graduations and other times were so prepared. I remember so many of your speeches, particularly the one that you gave about gun violence here in this room, where you call forth the best intellectual arguments for things, and your clear reading and commitment to learning was demonstrated. And I think that was really important for our students and for staff as well. Linda, you were always concerned about money, making sure we spent our funds wisely. And then you're also, on a personal level, your care for students, as well as your care for how we treated our students and what their experience was really wonderful. So two different voices and experiences. This is a board that's always been very diverse in its thinking, courageous in its thinking as well, not afraid to disagree with their colleagues, and not having to worry about just agree to go along to get along, but really to be committed to thinking. So thank you for your time when I'm here, and I know you've left a legacy that will serve this district well for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Scully. I'd like to move us on to someone who's on Zoom. So Supervisor Dave Pine is on, and I think he has a few words to say as well. Dave, you there? Oh, here we go. It's a technical difficulties night, I think. Dave, you're on mute. I don't see him on the screen either. Have you admitted him in? Okay, I'm going to start with Dave, but Robin, if you're there, would you like to speak?
I would, and I
All
have
right.
no technical difficulties. So I would like to say hello and good evening, President Land, Superintendent Booker, and members of the board, and everyone at the Zoom or through the Zoom and being in the room with you. I'm Robin Clemens, the new CSEA chapter president, voted in last night. Hooray, everything is official. And on behalf of CSEA union members at San Mateo Union High School District, we would be remiss if we didn't take this opportunity to thank both Linda Lease Dwyer and Peter Hanley for their collective 40 years of service to the school district and just elected members of the San Mateo Union High School District Board. We want to extend our sincerest gratitude for the years of service, dedication, and commitment to improving our schools. You both brought a wealth of knowledge and experience, professionality, and a clear, unselfish understanding of what it takes to be part of the team to bring value to our schools, students, staff, and while all the while protecting the assets of the taxpayers. It's so critical, the work you've done for decades. We're going to truly miss it. I think those are some pretty big shoes and important shoes to fill. You will both be sorely missed. We wish you all the best with your future endeavors. But thank you so much. And I guess I'd like to also say congratulations to the two new CSEA union members, Terry Chavez and Jennifer Jacobson. We're looking forward to working with you both very soon. So that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, let's give them. Okay. Dave, you out there? Not so much. We lost him. Hopefully we'll bring him back. I know Dave would have a few things to say about both Peter and Linda, so in a very good way. So what Shar is presenting to both of you is a resolution from the County Boards of Supervisors with Dave Pine's signature, commending you on your service to our board for the many years that you've served for us. So thank you. Do we have anyone from?
Yeah, we have somebody.
Carlo, come on up. Sorry.
I wasn't sure if I should wait for my report time or not, but
No, this is perfect.
Quickly mention, on behalf of the Teachers Association, my name is Carlo Cordy. I teach at Aragon High School. We want to thank trustees Hanley and Lease Dwyer for their years of service. Their stewardship of this district, which has faced so many challenges in the 20 years they've been here or been around. Their stewardship has been outstanding. And even at times where we had disagreement, and there were certainly many of those times, we knew that both trustees Hanley and Lease Dwyer came from a place of respect and genuine care for students and incredibly strong moral principles. And we just really want to thank them for their service. So on behalf of all the teachers in our association, on behalf of all our members, thank you.
The good news is we see Supervisor Pine. Dave, you're up. Can you hear us?
I sure can. Sorry about those technical difficulties.
No, go ahead.
My pleasure to join you for a moment tonight to recognize Peter and Linda for an incredible 38 years of combined service. I had the good fortune of overlapping with Peter for 3.5 years on the San Mateo Union High School District Board. But I first met Peter a year or so before that when he was the president of the County School Board Association, and he reached out to me. And, Peter, I've always value our friendship and value our discussions about education and other policy matters. Your belief that all children can achieve is really important one for all of us to remember. Your insistence on setting high standards is another key attribute of what you're about. And again, something that has made a big difference in our school district and for our children's futures. And your just ability to dissect an issue and bring just a rational and very compelling argument to your case has just been very impressive. So Peter, I wish you all the best and look forward to staying in touch. And Linda, we overlapped at 2 school districts, the Burlingame School District and the San Mateo Union High School District. You just have such an incredible passion for helping young people. It's very inspiring. And your ties to the community are always so deep and so meaningful and so make such a big difference. I remember one time when you were like signing diplomas and you knew like practically everybody that was graduating. It was quite something. And always appreciative of your upbeat spirit. Every time we talk, I go away feeling a lot better about things. So a big thank you to Linda, a big thank you to Peter. You've made a real difference in our community and for the children that you served. Thank you.
Well said, Dave. I'm opening it up to anyone who'd like to talk, if you would like to come up to the podium.
Good evening. I'm Pam Dazinski, the principal at Mills, and I'm joining with
Jeff Gilbert, I'm the principal at Hillsdale High School.
And we just wanted to thank Linda and Peter for their years of service on behalf of the school district. Thank you for your vision, your leadership, your compassion, your willingness to lead during really difficult times in public education. Peter, I think you've clocked probably the most hours on the board for being at school sites, visiting our classrooms, and talking with principals about instruction. Thank you. Linda, you come to every activity. I think at all schools, you make your rounds. You want to be seen, you've been seen, visible, and accessible for our students and our families. And we can't thank you enough for being there and for being a voice for both of them.
I once read an economics book entitled Hard Heads and Soft Hearts. And Linda, I think you were the soft heart. And
touché.
That came across in the way you talked to us, the way you were on campus, the way you nurtured us, the way you always were able to emote and be empathetic to the job that we had and the experiences that our teachers have. And Peter, to help you take this the right way, and a lot of times you were the hard head on the board. And there were so many times I sat in this audience and listened to you talk and struggled with, do I agree? Do I not agree? But I need to think about that. What is he saying? Why is he saying it? And in a way that really, really helped me as a leader. And I appreciate that. These last 2 years, you have helped guide us through some extraordinarily difficult times. And to know that you were there at the helm, taking care of us, has meant a lot. And congratulations and thank you for all of the work that you've done for us. Thank you.
Char, at this time, I'd like to present one of the gifts, if that's okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So Kirk, this is a good time because what they just talked about is one of the gifts that needs to go out. So if you're going to share.
Following Jeff and Pam, they're always a hard act to follow, but so thanks for the order here. I did write a tribute and I had a lot to say, but I promise I'll keep it within my 3-minute comment period.
Get the timer on.
Yeah, put it on. Make me accountable. Okay, Linda and Peter, back when you started on the board, one of the district's goals was encapsulated in the phrase, moving from good to great, as explained in Jim Collins' popular book at the time. Although the definition of great evolves with time, if 15 years ago, we would have been able to see the district as it is today, I think we would have all agreed that we came pretty much close to reaching great as it was defined back then. Just think of the magnitude of services we now provide students, most of which were inconceivable 15 years ago. For example, we didn't have anywhere near the level of family engagement outreach we do now. We didn't have any in-house mental health and wellness services. We didn't have a bridge program. Our AP offerings were mostly tracked and acceptance was contingent on recommendations. We only had a 6-period day. We didn't have a biotech building, and most of our science labs were way out of date. We didn't have an IB program. Hillsdale smaller learning communities were just getting off the ground. Our school counselor staff, which was much smaller than it is today. Our equity work hadn't yet formed into a vision and mission. We weren't as diverse. We weren't as inclusive. Our athletic fields, tracks, pools, gyms, theaters were all old and tired, and that's being kind. Both of your actions have had so much more meaning than either of you could have imagined 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Peter, you came to the district champion charter schools, and after a couple of near misses, D-Tech was born and moved to Oracle. And there is no way we would have imagined a charter school resembling what D-Tech is today and the strong connection it has with Oracle. Linda, there were only a few board meetings over the years where you didn't share your attendance at a student performance the week before, be it theater, dance, music, athletics, graduation, award ceremonies, etc. And your strong focus on extracurriculars has gone a long way towards developing thriving visual and performing art programs at each of our schools, supported by beautiful theaters, dance rooms, art studios, and music rooms. Our board meetings are now crisp, concise, and our agenda is organized to a T. Linda, your constant vigilance of our contracts, our personal actions, and our legal agreements have increased our efficiency and limited our liabilities. Peter, your scrutiny and passionate support of our construction programs has led to new facilities that were beyond our wildest dreams 15 years ago. Linda, through the years, you have provided incredible insight pertaining to our classified employee ranks. We have made substantial progress improving our classified jobs, and in large part due to your ability to recommend fair and meaningful solutions. Peter, you were instrumental in moving the district towards instructional coaching. Providing teachers with an individual coach for an entire year has completely transformed the way we support and evaluate teachers. Both of you never let us lose sight of the fact that some of our students were struggling from year to year. We came to count on you to hold us accountable to the data and spotlight where we had to improve. You both honored those who previously served the district. Recognition of employees is now a common practice. Peter, you led the drive to name the Cappuccino Theater after retired Superintendent Samuel Johnson, Jr. And Linda, you created the idea of a memorial wall honoring district employees right in the hallway outside this boardroom. I could go on in terms of your collective accomplishments. And of course, all of them are the ones that I've stated, and all the others are a product of the entire board. But there is no question that each of your contributions were outsized and moved the district from good to great. We will miss your guidance and your presence greatly, and it has been my honor to work with you. Thank you, Peter and Linda.
That was well said. I think that was really encapsulating. And so with that, Shar is going to present you. Yes, I know. Shar is presenting you with a district gift. I would like to, if you'd like to come up and read it, do you know what it says? What does it say? For how long? For life. I had to connect it with what, yeah, absolutely. But Dr. Black said it really well. You have gone to so many events and been so much part of this history and moving us from good to great. You've earned that 10 times over. Yeah. Now we're not done. The next ones are quite large. This is from State Senator Josh Becker. These are resolutions from his office to honor both of you for all the work that you have done. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And Shar, if you don't mind, let's get him to take a picture.
Yeah.
Laura, yeah. Let's get a good camera picture with this.
It's Linda and Peter, and then with the entire board.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
When I got mine, we're gonna do it over here.
Yeah. So you two first, and then we'll get up and join you. Only 20 more years.
Thinking how big the shoes are.
Yeah, but Peter's an 11 at least. You got this. Excellent. Get closer.
This one didn't get in. Okay, right.
This one did. Raise it up a little bit. There you go. Okay, let's get the board.
So, yeah.
You got one more gift to give them as well.
Oh, yes.
Then let's
Okay.
wait.
I was
Yeah.
gonna Superintendent Randall, go for it. I was gonna,
You wanna do it?
no, John wanted you to do that one.
Okay.
They're giving this just for my speech.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is
Oh, you're not done yet.
both Linda and Peter. It says with sincere appreciation for your dedication and contribution to the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. That's for you. as well. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get some board members up here.
Take turn.
Leah, you can get through.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it.
Oh, I was being, but you can say you're the whole meeting.
Yeah, I drove. I thought of it like.
I was gonna say, you're right. Are we doing everybody?
Right here, group photo. Essence Way.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. All right. Yay. Bob, you in there? Yeah. This is where it's really going.
All right.
Okay.
So I hate to say it, but we're not done quite yet.
Thank you.
I was going to open it up to the board members now. And I was hoping to get a few words in edgewise too. So board members, would you like to, sorry, is there any board member that would like to speak on about Peter or Linda?
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay, Leah, you're on.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of your, for your service and everything you've done for the district. But most of all, just for welcoming me to the family. I feel like we've become friends aside from just colleagues. And so I really, I just admire all of your, just your love for our youth, for the district, for your community. And so just thank you.
Thanks, Leah. Bob?
No, I didn't even put my hand up.
Oh, I was
put my
going right
hand
for you.
up and it's like,
You in?
I guess the first question is, what are you going to do on Thursday nights from now? Well, you've got.
Let's keep him here longer. Texas score, yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed all that time disagreeing with you and being grumpy with you. And, you know, you were two of the most hardworking people that I know. You are truly prepared when you get here. It was always amazing, and it was not without some effort on everybody's part to figure out how to disagree and argue and then act like it never happened, you know, and go back as we're all friends. And the other thing that I always appreciated about the group was that once we made a decision, we lived with it. Nobody carried a grudge. You know, there was no throwing it up. You know, we figured out how to debate the issues, have intelligent discussions, not a lot of swearing, and you know, and then we moved on. And I think at the end of those things, we really felt like we had made decisions that were in the best interest of the district. So I really enjoyed the work. Maybe I can be the number two. Maybe I could be your side, you know, your sidekick, Linda, as you go to places, because we would see each other all those places, and there you go. So anyway, thank you. And I look forward to finding out what Thursday nights without school board is like. So
You guys want to take a turn? Okay.
Thank you, President Lamb. I'm sorry I didn't get to be participating on the board with both of you, because you're both wonderful, dedicated individuals to the education of all the students of San Mateo County. So I want to thank you for your many years of service. And I know that over the last 4 years at the CSBA conference, I would bump into you because it's a whole big group of San Mateo County trustees just kind of stay in a clump at the conference down in San Diego. Although we do spread out, we meet a lot of trustees from all around California. But of course, we stay together and mingle a little bit more when we're down there. And so I appreciate our talks and also seeing each other there, as well as everybody here. But I just want to commend you for all your years of dedication. And you did that, and I still think you're going to continue. Even Bob, even though there might be a Niner game once in a while on a Thursday, that it's not very often. So I do think that both will stay involved in the school district business. But I want to commend you for your years of service, and it's because you care. So thank you. I know we have big shoes to fill, but thank you for your care, your many years of dedication. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to echo Terry's gratitude and commend you for your service. And it's obvious how much dedication and care you've given throughout the years. And it's obvious that you care about the students, the families, and the staff. And just listening to Kirk give the history of all of the progress, it's incredible. It's incredible what has occurred under your oversight and thanks to your vision. So I really appreciate all that you've done. I hope that we can continue the work and the progress that you started. And thank you.
So I'm going to take a turn. I wrote mine. Okay. I wrote this because this comes from the heart, and I was going to have a hard time with this. So Peter and Linda, I want to acknowledge, first of all, listening to everyone else, they did a better job than I did. So Kirk really talked about the history, but the one word that really is the epitome of both of you is stewardship. And you've shown me and our board what real stewardship is, because I think that's an undervalued word that has so much meaning, and you both were the epitome of that. But I want to acknowledge how privileged I feel to have worked with you on our board up till now for the last 7 years. Working at many levels with a variety of boards, I wanted to share how honored I feel like I've worked with this board and with both of you, not only in balancing caring and focus, but what is really best for kids from day one. We all had our areas of expertise, and I think that really made our board special. And we were such a high, as people would say, a high functioning board. And I really felt that that was true, and you've heard several examples of it tonight. We had our diverse opinions on many subjects, and there were times when we would adamantly disagree. But unlike many of the other boards that would be divisive and divided and disrespectful, we always respected each other's opinions and positions. And no matter how we voted, in the end, we came back together and we moved on and we moved forward. And as Bob said, We just kept the decision and we moved forward and went behind it. I'm very proud to say that I was part of this very important board for the last 7 years. So I really am. Thank you. Now, individually, Peter, this is for you. Peter, I was always impressed with your understanding of data, curriculum, and instruction. I've learned how to respect your judgment, your ideas, how to make our district the best that it could be. I really respect your devotion and dedication and how much of a priority you wanted our district to succeed. Peter, your ideas, we sometimes disagreed. We didn't always agree, but you always made me think and you always made me reflect on what do I think, and almost exactly what Jeff had said. Sometimes I was like, well, where do I stand in this? Do I agree with him or do I not? And where do I go? And I've even reflected and changed. I'm really glad to consider you a colleague and a friend. I hope to hear about your amazing adventures now that you'll have some more time on your hands. Will it be Antarctica or the Amazon jungle? But I want to hear about it. Or maybe another concert in Las Vegas. I wish you the very best. And at the very least, hopefully we can enjoy a Sharks game together one day soon. Linda, oh man, I wrote this. I will miss you tremendously. I feel like sometimes we can finish each other's thoughts or sentences. I miss your counsel. I will miss your counsel and our talks on everything under the sun. Your devotion into detail and your understanding of contracts and agreements was invaluable to all of us. Your legal expertise was something that was very handy to have on the board, and I really valued it. We didn't always agree, but we always shared a ride home no matter what when you walked. And I'm going to miss that. Nope. Your experience as a parent in the district and your knowledge of the staff was incomparable. You, like someone said, you know everybody's name in the staff and you know everybody's job, you know everybody on the, in names when you're graduating. I found that incredible, and I'm just wish I had that ability. I wish I could be like that. I want to wish you the best and hope that you continue to walk, jog, run by my house more often so that we can keep seeing each other. See you on the avenue. Thank you. So y'all get the last word. Who'd like to go first? Okay, Peter, you're up. All right, you guys get the final word.
Okay. So I wrote a few things myself. And thank you very much for everything that has been said here tonight. It's very, very nice. So as an elected official, I just want to say that, I view elections are ultimately an expression of hope. We vote to actualize our vision and our aspirations for our communities, our state, our country. So I've always remembered that as an elected official, I'm carrying forward the hopes of thousands who supported me, but just as important, representing the interests of those that did not. And that I've always tried to act in the public's best interests. So when I ran for the district board in 2001, I told voters that I had 3 major priorities. I wanted to improve the academic outcomes for all the students of the district. I wanted to repair and rehabilitate the district schools and infrastructure. And I wanted to offer district parents more choice and options to educate their students. I'm at heart a school choice guy, and I always will be. But we've made significant progress in all of those areas. Academically, Kirk pointed out some of the areas we've made a lot of progress in. We have much higher expectations for our students now than we did before. We have an A to G curriculum that's expected at the beginning for all students. All students have access now to advanced placement and IB classes, and more students than ever are participating. We finally expanded the middle college program, which I was after for years and years and years. And we have more access and growing access to concurrent enrollment in college classes. And we have a coaching program to improve instruction consistently. We still have a lot of work to do on the learning gap issues, but we focused efforts on making learning relevant and important to all students. And I wanted to just say that I appreciate all the support that I've had, even though sometimes it's contentious with the superintendents I've worked with. The late Tom Moore taught me a lot, but so did Sam Johnson, Scott Lawrence, Kevin, learned a lot from Kevin. And even with the short time that I've been working with Randall, it's been great working with you. And I know you'll do a great job for the district and all the staff that I've worked with over the years to move all of these efforts forward. None of this happens in a vacuum. None of this happens by one trustee wanting something done. It happens as a team effort. And thanks to district taxpayers that passed measures M and L during my tenure, and that passed measure D just before I was elected, we've had the funding to really transform the district, transform the schools, transform the supporting infrastructure. This is a district you wouldn't even recognize from 20 years ago. But it wouldn't have happened without an incredible team of people. And I have to say that Liz McManus and Todd Lee of Greystone West taught me about construction, taught me about how you manage projects, taught me how you manage bonds. You know, I didn't know anything when I came in here, but I knew that I needed to learn it and I needed to make sure it got done right. And I think we manage projects as well as anybody that I know of. And Yancey and your staff have just continued on and continue to do a great job. And I also want to thank the building trades for their support and their work over the years. I think we've developed a really excellent relationship with the building trades, and we've received consistently high quality work since we built that relationship with the building trades. And the third area, parents and students have many more options than when I was first elected. And that didn't happen easily. And I want to really thank Steve Rogers and Dave Pine for supporting those initiatives. And they were really my initiatives in this area when they were elected to the board. And that made a lot of those things happen. We were able to open the intra-district transfer system to a much wider degree. We did finally get a charter school in this district. And we weathered a lot of storms to make that charter school succeed. And I very much appreciate the support of my fellow board members as these initiatives went forward, as they initiatives like concurrent enrollment and the expansion of the middle college and the continuation of the intra-district transfer system. As these things have been integrated into the fiber of the district, I think more choice is a better thing for the district, and it's a better thing for our students and our parents. So as I'm leaving elected office, you know, many of the hopes that I think the people that elected me, many of the hopes that I had have been realized, at least in part. The work's not finished, so I hope you'll continue to carry on. And finally, I want to say thank you to Steve and Phyllis Moore of Foster City for really unwavering support the entire time that I've been on the school board. Steve's been my treasurer for 21 years, for the entire time I've been a school board member. Phyllis, who was on the San Mateo Foster City board when I was first elected, was probably my first supporter in 2001 and really mobilized her network at that time to help me get elected. And they've been incredible supporters of mine. So some of you might be familiar with a songwriter, Warren Zevon, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but he has a great lyric that I like. It says, you know, if I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. So please do that. I will be seeing you around.
Aw.
All right, Linda.
Sure, I wanted to go last because that was, well, Peter's ending was so sweet. Okay. I feel like I'm in a trial and I'm giving my opening or closing, my closing statement. Okay. How do you summarize 17 years in 5 minutes? It's impossible, so bear with me. I'll take more than 5 minutes. So much has happened. Being part of the we of the board has been a gratifying, learning, sometimes trying, mostly amazing job. First, I'd like to thank my husband and now adult children for supporting my school board work throughout my tenure at SMUHSD and the 5 years before when I was on the Burlingame board. They weathered 22 years. Okay, so now that I'm leaving, I can say what I really think. You know, isn't that how it works? You know?
Okay.
I've been nice for too long. No, I'm just kidding. But okay, so here's what I really think. Randall Booker. I want to thank you for your new superintendent energy, your vision and focus. You have accomplished much in your first months, and I wish you every success as you continue to lead this district. Shara Aquino, I thank you for your constant and kind support of me and the board. Laura Chalkley and her team. Where is she? Okay. I thank all of you for stellar communication work, both within the district and to always serve. Sarah Devaney and her team, what would we have done without her during COVID and all of the aftermath? Okay, now let's go. I'm going to get even worse. It's going to get worse. Okay, Kevin Skelly. I thank him for his work in putting the district in a place where a new superintendent can come into the district and take off running, like Randall Booker has been able to do, and he runs. I walking at the track would be fun with you. No offense to Nancy. The seamless transition is very much due to Kevin Skelly's work. Elizabeth McManus, she hired the 2 V's, who are both here tonight, and developed and managed the district finances that put us where we are, on very solid ground with a very strong reserve. She preached with her team the judicious use of one-time money, and her team worked hard to make sure that this district remained solvent. Her leadership during all of the important construction work completed would merit a 6, with a 5 being almost perfect on a construction AP test. Yancey Hawkins, who stepped into Liz's big shoes, has continued her legacy of financial prudence and continues with the help of his team to very capably guide the district financially. Kirk Black, I thank you for your consistent focus on all things human resources. Through Kirk and his team's efforts, the district hires highly capable, caring educators at all positions in the district to the betterment of all students. Julia Kemke and her team, I'm not going to leave any of you out. You thought you get out of this. And her team, including Holly Wade and Brian Simmons, did stellar work during COVID and continue to work to support all students as they seek educational opportunity and equity. Don Scatena, Director of Student Services and Principal of Middle College. You bring such strong management and people skills to very challenging work. Samia Showman, and her very capable team whose vital work opens doors to students new to this country. I thank Simon Bettis and his team because they do incredible work, and during COVID, they made sure that every student had the technology and access to continue to learn. That was incredible work. Linda Carlton and her team, including Jim Hyde, Brad Barncourt, and Charlie Royce. Your excellent work managing facilities and facility use is evident throughout the district 24/7. April Torres and all those managing health, student health, thank you. Your work opens doors to newcomers to this country and supports the mental health of all students. To Kelly Hubbard, Director of Transportation, and Dennis Voris, Director of Student Nutrition. Your work is invaluable in supporting students and their families in learning, and you do it so well. To Angela Taylor, Director of Adult Education, thank you for your dedication to providing educational opportunity to all students 18 and over. Your work makes a difference in life for so many people. How do you thank site principals for their hands-on dedication to students and families? They're 24/7, always on, always focused, always caring. The success of this district is very much due to their work and work ethic. Yvonne Chu, Jeff Gilbert, Ron Campagna, Pam Tusinski, Valerie Arbuzu, Jose Gomez, Jennifer Fong. You are the best of the best. Your skills, intelligence, and dedication are second to none. But what really makes you stand out? You truly care about each and every student. I have been honored to know all of you. Teachers, with all strong, capable, and caring teachers, we are nothing. You engage, encourage, support, and educate students. Another 24/7 job. You give and your students benefit and grow because you give. Facility educators, managers, and teams. You set the scene for all of the work to be done. Your work as educators creates and maintains the environment for all to appreciate and enjoy. Cleanliness counts. It motivates. It creates a welcoming and safe place. I know that I have not mentioned every educator in the district, and I would do that, but the meeting would be still going tomorrow morning. But I don't want anyone that I didn't name to feel that I did not and do not value the work and their contribution to this district. To our constituents, thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting our bond measures. Your money has been and will continue to be very well managed and not wasted. The facilities you have supported with your tax dollars reflect the money spent and enhance your schools. Your belief and faith in the district is a motivator to all. Lastly, to the new trustees, okay, do the homework, read everything. Ask questions ahead of the meeting so that you know coming into it why something says what it does, or was something missed, or ask the questions. Don't be afraid, call. Spend time at the sites. Don't walk around. Go to games, plays, musical performances, feel the temperature, enjoy the people and the facilities. Be there. Trustee work takes time and it is time well spent. The latest Wikipedia says that you represent 363 people. Always remember that they are relying on you to make the best decisions you can. Every dollar counts. You think I was a CPA like Bob? Okay. It has been an honor to support the work of this district. I thank the voters for giving me this opportunity. I thank everyone in the district for making me feel welcome. If anyone in this district ever feels unappreciated, and Randall, you can direct them to me, call me, and I will tell you again what a difference you make in the lives of students and families. Thank you.
Well, now we have to start the meeting. So thank you both. You're going to be sorely missed. Thank you. And with that, I have to take roll call for the meeting. So Jennifer.
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
Terry.
Here.
Bob.
Present.
Present. Lehia.
Present.
And I'm here, so we can start the meeting. Before you go, can we have one person do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was my choice.
Come on down. Yes, one more time, please.
In person, though.
Yeah, I know. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think that was appropriate. Thanks. Okay. Seeing no public comments, we're going to go on to communications of the Board of Trustees. Does any of the trustees have anything to say at this time?
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna
Okay.
say something? Go ahead.
Nope, Lehia, you're
Oh,
first.
okay.
I'll call on whoever I want.
Thank you. Okay, great. First, I wanted to acknowledge the land that we're currently occupying is the traditional territory of the Métis Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. I wanted to just do a quick moment of silence for Felipe Miguel Contreras, who passed away recently in really tragic circumstances. So can we just do a quick moment of silence, please? Thank you. I just wanted to say that thank you to our staff and our just everyone that does so much for our students at every school site, but specifically right now at Aragon. I just wanted to extend my appreciation and my respect for just everything y'all do for the mental health of our students and just the connections and just everything. So thank you. Right now our world is dealing with a lot of sorrow and a lot of disconnection and a lot of just really difficult times. And I just wanted to make sure that we know that we just need to be good to each other. If, being kind doesn't take that much. So kindness goes a long way. So I just wanted to say that. Also, December 3rd was Special Education Day internationally. And so I wanted to say thank you to all of our special education teachers and administrators and Holly and everyone that does so much for our students with in special education. I also wanted to say that the Youth Leadership Forum, they have applications open right now for students with disabilities that would like to participate in that conference in the summertime. So if you're interested in the information, you can go to the Youth Leadership Forum website that's on the Department of Rehabilitation website. They're taking applications. Also, the Transition to Independence Fair put on as a partnership with the different school districts and the San Mateo County Commission on Disabilities Youth and Family Committee will be happening on February 4th at El Camino High School. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a day where there's a series of workshops and information and a lot of activities for young folks that are transitioning from youth to adulthood that have disabilities. So if anyone is interested in that, we also have a website for that. So if you just Google the Transition to Independence Fair, San Mateo County. I wanted to give a big congratulations to one of our fellow trustees in a sister district, Noelia Corzo. She has been elected to the Board of Supervisors for District 2. So I wanted to say congratulations to her. I also wanted to lift up San Mateo High School math teacher Karen Fields and her team for all of the hard work that they've done to provide gifts and just different celebration and opportunity for the students in the ELD program. They have really just done this every year in making sure that they have what they need and that they are supported, along with the Bridge community too. They also have created a donation system for the Bridge families. And so I wanted to lift them up. Please don't forget to read all of the correspondence coming from Sarah Devaney and her team. We do have a kind of trifecta of viruses right now. And so just make sure that everybody stays healthy and masks and vaccinates and tests. Lastly, the ACLU is looking for youth for our youth advisory subcommittee. So anybody that's interested, you can also go onto the North Peninsula ACLU website. And I'd like to just thank all of our interpreters, our ASL interpreters, our Spanish language interpreters, and to the staff that work really hard to make this all happen with technology and just the setup of our in-person meetings. And just, I also have office hours on Saturdays from 1 to 3. If anyone is interested, go ahead and email me. My email is on the district website. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bob.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, and I did enjoy the CSBA conference, and I had not traveled the whole time of COVID. And so it was a new adventure getting back on anything other than a vehicle like a car. But I enjoyed it, and I carried a pocket full of masks, which I managed not to use, and came back healthy as far as I know. I focused on lots of finance things, and I think I found myself at least in one session that everybody there must have been, they were talking about the media and media communications, and there was some Brown Act sessions, and then there was the forever conversation about Prop 98 deficiting and what's happening, and so I generally enjoyed it. And then there was a session I went to with the Black School Board Black educators, and it was about this financial aid, and they were talking about the push that everybody applies for financial aid. I want to make sure we're making sure that all students have to apply and get their application, their FAFSA, I guess it is, in and see how much they're worth. So that was all good. And I always have to look at my email. I was at work in Oakland, and I've learned over the years, the last thing I have to do is check my email, because there's always some last minute something that came from the district, and I'll be the only person that doesn't know, like, well, what are they talking about? But when I got on there, I see that the California school dashboard information got released today. And I guess it's just going to be a single year, and we won't know till next year. We have a year-to-year comparison, but I am looking forward to hearing about the results, and and I'm looking forward to that report. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like to say that I just want to say thank you to everyone for the warm welcome to joining the board. Thank you to staff. Staff's been incredibly welcoming to both myself and Jen. I already felt like we're part of the team from months ago onboarding. I also wanted to thank all the trustees too for the warm welcome. We also spent time in San Diego at the annual CSBA conference along with Superintendent Booker, and I felt like we had a great time there and a great opportunity to learn, which was great. One of the classes that I attended that I felt was really powerful was it's titled, "How Can Boards Listening to Students Improve Student Engagement and Student Achievement?" And that was geared toward school district with high school students, because I do believe that it's important to listen to students and maybe have some more student involvement at our board meeting. I know I've spoke before at a public comment regarding student involvement, and I know at Cappuccino on the school site council, there's student involvement from all grades there for the school site council meetings. And I hope that that's the case for all school sites because we have awesome students and awesome student leaders. I also wanted to mention that last week on Thursday and Friday, I attended the winter concert at Cappuccino, and it was amazing. On December 8th, it was a string orchestra, chamber singers, and chamber orchestra. The following day, December 9th, some of the same students were there. So they were exhausted because it's the week right before finals. They had amazing concert band, symphonic band, and concert percussion, and it was just amazing. I also want to say that I look forward to going to all the school sites, attending the plays, musicals, and also the band performances. I want to attend everything at every school site. I don't know how Linda did it, Trustee Dwyer's, but I'm going to find out because I've been engaged in just one or two school sites, but I want to go to all of them. It's all important to me. So thank you for letting me speak.
When you find out, let me know, because I still don't know how she does it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a turn just really quickly. Just again, my experience at the CSBA conference as a delegate, as part of the delegate assembly, I also got to some insight into where we're going to be advocating to both our state legislature and our nation's legislature on EL funding, special education funding, and what are the priorities for the next year. So I'm going to hopefully talk more about that at other meetings. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us at the San Mateo School Boards Association and Santa Clara Association Mixer. I thought that was great to have everybody come to that. As president of the association, it was nice to get a good number there. So thank you for all joining us. I did learn a lot at the conference as well. I focused a lot of my energy on English learners and really the latest research on that, and working with Shialeen, who's one of the former presidents of CSBA and part of the the work that she's doing and her organization. So I'm looking forward to more work with that. So that's my report.
Also attended the Latino School Board.
And we, yes, did the Latino School Boards Association luncheon and some of their functions. So thank you. All right. With that, I'm going to move on to consent agenda. Any
If there's
thoughts,
no
recommendations?
discussion, I'm willing to move.
Okay, a motion to pass the consent agenda,
I'll second that.
and there's a second. Any wishes to remove anything or not? Okay, all those in favor? Well, is it still a vote, right? Single, you got to go by
Yeah.
vote. Okay, so you're going to get used to this. So Jennifer, what's your vote?
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Bob? Aye. And Leanne?
Aye.
Okay, whoever did the setup, my head's going back and forth for each order. I'm gonna start getting
Keep the
dizzy.
setup as I
Okay,
like to see.
and I'll vote aye, so 5-0 motion passed for the consent agenda. Moving on, we are going to regular reports, report of the superintendent. Superintendent Booker.
Thank you very much, President Land. So just a couple of announcements. The holiday season is upon us, with Hanukkah beginning at sunset on December 18th and lasting until December 26th. It's a Jewish festival that reaffirms the ideals of Judaism and commemorates in particular the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem by the lighting of candles on each night of Hanukkah. Additionally, we have many, many students that celebrate Christmas, celebrating the birth of Christ, and that's on December 25th. Kwanzaa is an annual celebration of African-American culture, and it begins on December 26th and is celebrated through January 1st, culminating in a communal feast called Karamu. It was created by activist Maulana Karenga, based on African harvest festival traditions from various parts of West and Southeast Africa. Kwanzaa was first celebrated in 1966. And additionally, we're going to ring in the new year on January 1st. And finally, we look ahead to the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Rabbit, which falls on the first day of the new moon in January, which is January 22nd, 2023. The holiday lasts 16 days from New Year's Eve to the 15th day of the new year, which also happens to be the Chinese Lantern Festival. Many of our schools and students participate in celebrations related to the Lunar New Year, both as part of long-standing traditions with their schools and in the community. One additional announcement, we have a new assistant principal at Hillsdale that we'll be affirming this evening. And I want to introduce and welcome Jessie Boise as our assistant principal at Hillsdale. Just a few things I've been reading and learning about Jessie that I want to just read out loud. Come on up, Jessie, please. So he served at Hillsdale, Cappuccino, San Mateo. And these are some of the things that I was able to garner from his colleagues that have said about him. He's a collaborative leader, cultivates a shared sense of purpose, an anti-racist leader, garners trust. He's an instructional leader, motivates and inspires teachers. He's trusting, positive, enthusiastic, focused, motivational, commitment to developing teachers, leaders. He has a commitment to equity, and he's an extraordinary school leader. So just so much high praise from your colleagues. It was really fun and amazing to learn all that about you. And I look forward to working with you some more. So welcome, welcome back. I don't even know how to say it, right? So you've been here, it's just a new position. Welcome to your new position. How's that sound?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Superintendent Booker.
Yeah.
Do I have a moment just to, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. That really means a lot. President Land, members of the board, Superintendent Booker, Council, I do want to say thank you because I think I have grown up in the school district and you all and many others have provided me opportunities that I could not have imagined when I was 23 years old and hired as a teacher at Hillsdale High School. In that time, I grew very passionate about small learning communities. There's a gentleman behind me there in the audience, and I really appreciate Principal Gilbert being here, you know, sitting and talking about Ted Sizer and Deborah Meyer, Linda Darling Hammond, and a commitment to personalization and teams, knowing students. Ironically, I applied for this job 9 years ago and was encouraged to gain experience at other schools, working with eminently talented educators from other schools, other structures, other programs. And I am grateful for those opportunities. I think I returned to Hillsdale a better leader for it and appreciate those opportunities immensely. Yeah, I hope you will consider the recommendation if offered the opportunity to serve as assistant principal. I promise to work tirelessly on behalf of students and families. I believe in the power of public education to my core. Linda and Peter are gone, but I have so many nice things that I wish I could say about them, but I'll see them and tell them. I do want to say, Trustee Chavez, I have had the great fortune to get to know you, and I hope it is okay to call you Terry and say you are one of the best moms I've ever met. A true testament is how you raise your children, and Trustee Chavez has two of the best. And ironically, I believe Trustee Jacobson may have kids attending Hillsdale at some
Yeah,
point in
I
the
have
future.
two. No,
So
I have two, a freshman and
currently-
a junior.
So I hope to get to serve your students very well. And lastly, it was interesting walking into this room, and it feels more like family than work. And I am grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Good job. All I can say, Jesse, is we're really glad to have you back on an admin
Yeah.
team. So great to see you,
sure.
your leadership again. All right. Moving right along. Okay, we're going to go to the report of the district's Teachers Association representative. Carlo, that would be you, right? All right.
Good evening. It's been 3 years since I've been at an in-person board meeting, so I will just reintroduce myself. My name is Carlo Corti. I'm a teacher at Aragon High School. I've been there for 23 years. I teach economics, government, and psychology there. My role in the Teachers Association is for the past 12 years, I think. I've been the bargaining chair. I look at Kirk because we've had a lot of meetings together. It's been about 12 years. I've been on the bargaining team for about 18 years. And we have a very brief report tonight. First of all, happy finals week. If you go to any school in the district right now, I think you'll see a lot of stressed out teachers, a lot of stressed out students who will be very happy after their 2 finals are completed tomorrow. And they're looking forward to their break. We also wanted to specifically welcome Ms. Jacobson, Trustee Jacobson, and Trustee Chavez to the board. We look forward to working with both of you. We look forward to continue working with President Land, Vice President Andrade Zuniga, and Trustee Griffin, especially as we head into spring and begin to bargain a new collective bargaining agreement. We look forward to working with our new administrators in that role as well. Lastly, and this is just a personal note, and I just wrote this down, I want to personally thank Trustee Andrade Zuniga for her moment of silence earlier today. That means a lot to me as a teacher at Aragon. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, moving to the report of the CSEA Chapter 1519 representative.
That's me.
Yep.
Good evening, again, President Land, Superintendent Booker, members of the board, and everyone in attendance this evening. I wanted to mention a couple things that the CSEA union membership has been working on over the past month. And as a group, we would like to say thank you very much to the district for hiring additional campus safety specialists. I think the schools will truly benefit from this and make it easier for all parties involved. Negotiations, we're still working with the district on updating our contract language and hope to finish negotiations earlier next year. And I want to say that in the past month, when I've been working with the staff in place on the union, they've been super helpful and supportive and have allowed me to learn as I move forward in my new role as not the environmental health and safety person at the district, who's the one who shakes your finger and says, no, you have to do it this way. Now in my new role, I have to be nice to people and be warm and welcoming. So that's a different shift, and I can wear this hat as well. But I want to tell you how excited I am to work with our full board of the CSEA union members that were elected as of yesterday. We have 2 vice presidents, Armando G. I'm going to call him right now because if I try to say his last name, I would butcher it. So I'm going to work on that later. Billy Dalway, and who I'm friends with. He works across the street from us at M&O at Peninsula High School. Treasurer is Nancy Marty, who works at Burlingame High School. And our most important anchor and the person that saves us every minute of every day and with this whole process is our secretary, Andrea Hadley. So thank you very much to all of them. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the report of the San Mateo Adult School Teachers Association. We have no speaker. Okay, then we're going to move into next business, which is presentation and approval of the positive certification of the first interim fiscal report. Nancy?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, President Land, trustees, the new trustees. First, I want to welcome Trustee Chavez, Trustee Jacobson. I really want to thank you for taking the time this week to really spend some time in going over the budget. I think it's a huge responsibility and I appreciate you guys really diving in even, before you were on the board officially. So thank you. With that, I'd also like to thank former trustee Lise Dwyer noted the V's. I call them Valerie and Vanessa, but I get the pleasure of coming up here and giving you a summary of the work that really they and their team do. So they do 99% of the work and I come up here and take 100% of the credit. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you do. All right, we're here at First Interim. First Interim is our first major budget revision since the board adopted their budget in June. It's a really important time of the year for the current year budget because in June, there's really a lot of unknowns as we're going into the school year. At First Interim, a lot of those unknowns have come clear. First, the adopted state budget. We always adopt our budget prior to the adopted state budget. We don't know how we're going to end the year. In September, the board accepted the unaudited actuals with our ending fund balance. We now have our final enrollment. We have our October CBEDS numbers. We have actual staffing and placement of our teachers and other staff for the year. And we have the final tax roll that comes in August. And as secured taxes are by far our largest revenue item, and fund the major operations of the district. That's important information. So all of those are now known. We still have a few things that are unknown and we'll bring those back at second interim, but we'll move on. All right, so tonight I'll go through the key themes and takeaways from the first interim. We'll quickly go over the budget calendar. We'll focus on some significant changes since the budget adoption. We'll just do a summary of the budget assumptions. We'll look over the first interim financial report. We'll look at the general fund MYP or multi-year projections. We'll go over the certification, the positive certification that I will ask the board to approve tonight. And then we'll do a little bit of focus on the one-time COVID relief funding that we have received over the last 3 years and the impacts of that moving on. And we'll end it with future considerations. So the key themes and takeaways, really, if you don't remember, you stop listening to everything, at least listen to this slide out there. The first is really the long-term impact of the one-time COVID-19 funding. Over the last 3 years, the district has received over $20 million in one-time funding, and that was operational as well as learning recovery related. It was incredibly needed. It supported the district financially through these times, but it's a double-edged sword because we're funding a significant amount of positions in the district with those one-time money. And so we're going to, over the next 2 to 3 years, we're really going to have to make some decisions on the step down of those services and those positions. The second is the continued negative pressure from state mandated pension rates, which in our case is STRS and PERS. While you'll see in the multi-year projection, those have leveled up after the incredibly large increase over the last 8 to 9 years. There's 2 factors, including the inflationary factors that we all hear about in the news, as well as interest rate pressures that may bring those to the forefront as we move into the next year's budget, especially at the state level, since they have such a huge stake in PERS as well as STRS. I noted the inflationary and interest rate pressures. Those impact not just PERS and STIRS. Those also impact negotiations with our labor partners. They also impact our major revenue source, which is property tax and assessed value. Interest rate impacts that. We still continue to have difficulty in hiring hard to fill positions. I would say we're lucky amongst school districts. I think we do better than most, but we still have positions in food service. We still have positions, bus driver positions continue to be a struggle, but Kirk Black and his team do a great job. And so we're moving through there. The last thing I want to, I don't want to, kind of harp on the negative. This board and the state have really supported us to be in an incredibly strong financial position to face any challenges ahead. So in terms of the budget calendar, I noted earlier we're at the first interim, which captures all activity through October 31st of the year. And it has to be adopted by December 15th, which is good because it's December 15th tonight. I really want to focus on, this is the last meeting where the 2022-23 budget will be the real focus in the interim. As we move into the second interim, the focus really changes almost to future year planning. So really, this is the main 22-23 budget update. And as we get into second interim, it really starts sharing time with our out year planning more. Overall, the changes since budget adoption, property taxes, which I've noted as our major form or major category of revenue, is a little bit higher since budget adoption, which is good. The secured taxes are actually a little bit lower than our initial projection, but our unsecured and redevelopment agency taxes are a little bit higher. So that impacts the current year with some one-time money. And then the secured taxes being lower actually tick down our multi-year projections. We have actual staffing. That staffing is based on actual enrollment now. It's also based upon actual employee placement in the year for all new employees or employees that are moving on a column for our certificated employees. We've also had some significant investments in the current year, including our investment in the Instructional Leadership Initiative, which Superintendent Booker had a presentation on at our November meeting. We've also had additional needs in special education, which we saw staffing and transportation hours increase. As I noted, transportation bus drivers continue to be a really tough. And so we've been working with our partners with CSEA to really attract and retain those teachers. We also have those one-time positions that I noted. So we'll get back to those in a little bit. Probably the biggest impact since the adopted budget, actually, when you look at our unrestricted bottom line, is really one-time commitments. The first is our site carryover. We have a little under $1.3 million in site carryover. So that was not on the books as of the adopted budget, and we always add it back as a first interim. The board at unaudited actuals made a commitment of $500,000 around emergency preparedness. And so that allocation has now been made and added to the budget. And since the adopted budget, the board also agreed to cover the 2023 calendar year increase in the health and welfare rates. And so the impact of that is seen as one time across 2022-23 and 23-24. The two main increases in state budget are two grants that were not included in the adopted district budget. The first is the California Learning Community School Success Grant. That's a grant that Don Scatena and April Torres and their groups really worked to support our students, especially in transition. That's a $2 million grant over 3 years, supporting transitions and improving attendance in our schools. And the other is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which we've talked about. That's an extension of the COVID relief funding for learning recovery. And that's $5.5 million over 5 years. And that's really the revenue source that is supporting those additional positions that we've added around learning recovery and really added a year and a half to the horizon of those services for our students.
Can I ask just a quick question on that?
Sure.
So I know we were talking about the other fund, the COVID funds.
Yep.
Will this help supplant anything with that new grant for long-term?
Yeah, so that'll help extend the positions and the services that the board has already approved.
Okay.
So we haven't added a lot of new services, but what we've done was we were looking at a 3-year horizon on moving those out, and that's moved to a 4 and 5 year horizon overall.
That's exactly what I was asking.
Perfect. Budget assumptions. I put this slide here. There's a lot of information, so I won't focus on all of it, but here's all the major budget assumptions that we use. I'll focus on a couple of them. The first being our out year projections on our assessed valuation. Current year, as I noted, our secured taxes dropped a tiny bit, 7.6% to 7.43% for the current year. Our out year are listed at 3.5% right now. I have some pretty good confidence given the tracker, the assessed value tracker from the County of San Mateo, that 23-24, that 3.5% is looking pretty good. 24-25, obviously we don't have information, and I do have some concerns around the interest rate environment and what mortgage rates have done in the slowing of the housing market and what impact those might have for the 24-25 year. Our projected enrollment.
So the AV, is that our current 7.43?
Yes, that is the current
Right,
P1
now.
as of right now for this year. Correct. Projected enrollment, we see pretty flat with a small decline over the next few years. It's important to note that that impacts our schools in very different ways. So in the north, we have more decline than we do in the south. Always like to note that we don't have a salary increase in the multi-year projections, as we haven't started that negotiations process with our DTA. So when you look at our multi-year projections, it's important to note that any salary increases have not been included in those numbers. I focus on CalPERS and CalSTRS rates because although they look like they're leveling off, inflationary factors are going to potentially increase the commitment and required commitment of the state on those pensions, as well as interest rate increases, which could impact the actuarial study that looks at what our unfunded liability might be. Also, the stock market this year has seen some pretty significant declines, and that's one half of the puzzle around our CalPERS and our CalSTRS unfunded mandate. Lastly, in terms of FTE, focus on that. I noted earlier that the FTE mostly are related to those one-time funds positions being included, as well as the instructional leadership initiative, special education, additional staffing, which includes some aides as required by IEPs, as well as the district taking back one of its programs from the county office of education from San Mateo, as well as those transportation increases. In terms of first interim, I noted about $2.5 million of one-time commitments, and that has taken our unrestricted position from about break even to about a $2.8 million excess of expenditures over revenues. In the out years, you noted in 22, 20, hold on, I'll go there. I apologize. In terms of the multi-year projections, you move out to about break even in 23, 24, and with the assessed value increases and without any increases to our salary schedules, you see an excess of revenues over expenditures of about $3.5 million projected in 23, 24. All right. At this time, we're going to ask the board for a positive certification. A positive certification means that we can meet our financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. And our multi-year projections show that we should have no problem meeting those requirements. And kind of lastly, I want to focus on that one-time COVID relief funding. This is a list of all of the, and it's not even all of the funding, but it's all the funding that we still have some of that. The total of this is about $19 million. And so in that we have operational funding, so some of it for masks and testing and things like that, but also a lot for learning loss, learning recovery that we're going to be spending over the next 3 years. This totals about 19 million. We have several $1 million in positions in one-time grants. And so over the next few years, those are going to have to be phased out or review and finding other funding sources to fund them.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you go back to?
Yeah.
So you were mentioning in a previous slide about the California Learning Community Success.
Yeah.
Is that the current final date, or is this an extended one, or is there another grant that's connected to the 1.9?
No, that is the
what
current, that's the
this is what you're
3-year
talking
grant.
about?
Yeah, that's the student services grant
Okay.
that's related to
So
that.
these were the last two that you were talking about.
Correct.
Are those the grant amounts or the unspent?
The grant amounts.
The amount.
So the ELO grant, that $6.2 million is almost completely spent at this point. ESSER 2 is on its way. ESSER 3 is still available. And then the ESSER 3 learning loss and the learning recovery emergency as well are grants that are really supporting the additional investments that we have to support our students right now. So in terms of future considerations, what are we looking at? We continue to monitor daily the property tax growth in the district as it's our largest revenue item. We look at our phasing out of one-time funding. The LAO in this current year shows their projections show that the Prop 98 increase will almost but not quite be able to fund the entire COLA in the out years. So as of this point, at least, additional one-time funding is not likely. We'll see in January what the governor has to say about that when he puts out his initial budget for the 23-24 year. We'll have to monitor and continue to work on stepping down of those positions funded by one-time funding. We'll start negotiations with our teachers associations and CSEA in the winter and spring. We'll continue to monitor those state mandated pension rates. I have a feeling my crystal ball says that there's going to be some stress on those and a potential push, at least on the PERS side, to increase rates as we move forward. We'll continue to monitor enrollment and monitor inflation. We've seen some at least slowing of inflation over the last couple of months, so we hope to continue to see that. And we've seen interest rates cool a little bit since their highs in September, but we're still not seeing the same level of housing activity that we saw at the lower interest rate environment. We always continue to monitor our special education needs and costs, and we'll continue to try to fill those hard to fill positions. With that, I'm happy to open it up to questions.
Anyone? Bob? Don't forget to
Got a real serious question to start with.
Yeah.
And you know what it is, Yancey.
I know what it's going to be, Bob. I know what it's going to be. Where's your comic?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's missing.
I know, but
Where is it?
you
Too
know,
much seriousness, or
I wanted to bring a little seriousness. It was
just
a lot of levity and fun with Trustee
Linda.
Lees Dwyer and Trustee Hanley. But I'll get you
A makeup one.
A makeup.
You owe me one.
I owe you one.
Next
Fair
one.
enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, a couple of questions. We've got a lot of personnel actions this evening, and I noticed a head count there. Can you nail the head count changes, which are like 48, 47? Can you nail those to a specific initiative or action?
Yeah, I can provide a breakdown of those. I'm happy to do that. And I can get that to the board.
I thought you were going to say the leadership instructional thing that the superintendent is embarked on. It's
Yeah,
not
that-
that.
No, but that's
part
not,
of it.
that's not all of it. So it includes the instructional leadership, but it also includes some one-time positions. We always increase from budget adoption to this because we add the positions that were funded by parent groups. We don't include those in the initial budget. Once we get those commitment letters from those the foundation parent groups, then we add the FTE. So we do that. We also had the program from the County Office of Education that we took back. And that was several position. That was a really high needs class that we took back. The students that we have placed traditionally at the County Office of Ed have some pretty significant needs. And Dr. Wade has done a great job of bringing back and building programs internally so we can bring those kids back into our schools. Those were not included in the adopted budget. We did include funds for those, but we didn't include the head count for those because we kept it at the board approved head count from our April or early May study session. We also had the transportation increases related to the bus drivers moving to a 6.5 hour guarantee. Those funds, some of those funds were coming from other department budgets in which we're funding additional hours. So we're not seeing the same corresponding increase. Like I said, some of it's because it's one time, some of it's because it's being, we already put money in there, but as contracts or as different forms of salary. So, but I'm happy to get a
That's
detailed
okay.
list.
What you gave me is a good start on the accounting on that. So the one thing I noticed, and you talking about adding one-time people, because we actually, I think the board had collectively acknowledged that those one-time funds supported people were gonna have to transition to other ongoing roles. So I suspect that's still the same. And then I noticed the attendance or the ADA or the enrollment, it's been steady and it's actually been declining, but she slipped in on the multi-year an increase. Where did that come from? And is that a trend or is that a blip?
It's a blip. So last year, given the COVID, our ADA to enrollment number was incredibly low. We always average 96+% attendance to enrollment. Last year, because of COVID, and if you were symptomatic at all, you were keeping out of school. If you had COVID, you had at least 10 days that you were out. Across the state, the average attendance rate plummeted statewide. In fact, a huge part of the state budget for state funded districts was to fund them at the level of what they quote unquote should have been at from an attendance to. So you do see a big bump, but that's mainly because our kids are coming to school much more this year. They're not missing school like they did. And the Omicron was the real. Our January, February, March in attendance was just incredibly low, given all of the positive and symptomatic folks staying home. So it's not, I'd love to be it, have it be a straight line, but it was a dump down and now it's just getting back to normal.
Okay, well then, put the multi-year, can you put the multi-year or the factor thing back up there?
Yeah.
Is that the one with the FTE sign?
One thing those slides, we were looking at each other like, did you see that? What was that?
I was gonna, okay.
Hold it.
There you go.
Projected enrollment, you got 8472, and then you got 8521 in the out years. And
Yeah.
so I was asking, was that?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Somebody can answer questions that you didn't answer, but it was useful information. So, is that the start of a trend or is that just an anomaly?
That's an anomaly. It's within 0.5%. We're seeing a little bit of bump, but our projections, especially in Millbrae and San Bruno, we're really, trustee Chavez, I'm sure, has seen those enrollment numbers coming through.
So declining.
Yeah, they're declining in the north part of the district. But when you look out and Don Scatena's numbers that we looked at, we see some steady decreases in the 5-year range. And then we actually see some pretty dramatic decreases in the 10-year range. But I like to focus on the 5-year range right now because those numbers are just a lot better.
Thank you.
Yep.
Before you remove this, FTE certificated.
Yep.
It looks like we're keeping steady in 2022, 24, 23, 24.
Yep.
557, 557, even with the reduction of enrollment. Because that,
Yeah.
So
So
you
we
speak
have
to that
not,
a little
we have
bit?
not yet pulled out the staffing. So the board will approve the enrollment and capacity in February, and that's when we update the staffing moving forward.
I personally, I think it's not a bad idea to keep higher than level, than
Yep.
really cut too much. But I just noticed that we were not decreasing FTEs even with the reduction in enrollment. But so that's not a bad thing, but you're going to make an adjustment.
Yep. And then last year that was seen in, we did see some reduction in kind of regular staffing, but some very specific staffing that the board around our EL students, that was actually increased.
Right.
So the regular staffing went down a little bit, EL staffing went up, and it kind of stayed the same, which is what I think you're kind of noting.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Any other comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for your presentation. Thank you for taking the time earlier this week to meet with trustee Jacobson and myself, and you and your staff, of course, back there.
Yep,
Thank
they're great.
As you are too.
Thanks.
I actually have a couple of questions. So
Yeah.
the transportation,
Mhm.
the new transportation initiative that's going with the 60%, is that going to have a positive impact for us financially, or actually we're going to have a burden as a result? of
No,
some of
that'll have a positive. We're still waiting on the numbers. The state is being a little cagey with how they're calculating those numbers. And I think it really comes from the fact that how they're developing is straight from information given by districts individually, but their numbers aren't necessarily audited specifically.
Mhm.
So I think they're having a little heartburn around exactly how to calculate that. Because I think a lot of districts are coming back to them and saying, oh, actually, we should have coded it a different way.
Okay.
So we'll
But
see.
it
I mean,
might have a
it's going to be a positive impact. Yeah, because the main requirements don't sit on high school districts. And we already actually, we don't offer a ton of home to school transportation other than, the IDEA mandated services, but we do still offer 6 routes in the Foster City area to San Mateo High School and Aragon and Hillsdale, as well as to Peninsula High School, home to school transportation, which is not required. So we are actually providing a lot of those services, which the adopted budget wanted us to do, but we are not mandated to do that. You will see in the spring, we'll be coming to you with an updated transportation plan, as that is a requirement for those funds. But we still need to know what the funds are going to be before we do that.
And my favorite topic, stirs and purrs.
Yep.
So have you heard anything about any offsetting, or are we coming up with any ways to offset our additional needs for contribution? Because like you said, we're going to have to contribute more this year over since the last couple of years because of the graph that you showed us, which it starts going up. How are we going to be paying for that? And how are you doing that?
So, it's kind of like any other commitment that we have that we're going to have to prioritize, and that comes pretty close to the top when it's going to be a state mandated, so it's going to put pressure on, other things that we'd like to do in the district, adding services, supplementing our salary schedules. So, we're going to have to look at that as a board, but obviously state mandated rates, they come first because whether you want to pay them or not, you're going to pay them. So
My last question is, and it might be just a personal problem. I couldn't find
It wasn't there.
it wasn't there.
No.
So I'm trying to find out why we didn't get in advance
We didn't get
the
it
deck.
last time either.
I would like to, my recommendation would be to get this so we can see this in advance, because when you were going through and the two of us was like, oh, that went too quick. Can we go back a little bit? At least we'll have it so we can look at it. So is there a way that we can have the decks beforehand on as part of the agenda memo? Because that's what we're used to.
I'll speak with Superintendent Booker and we'll
Thank
see
you.
what we can do.
Thank you. Because I think, otherwise you're gonna have to make us go back and we're gonna have to flip back and forth on the documents again.
Yeah.
So I if you don't mind,
yeah,
can you go to the next one? Because we did, when I looked at him, we were talking about not this one next. You were talking about an expenditure change.
I was speaking of the unrestricted. So this is restricted and unrestricted. So you got me on. I really focus on unrestricted, but when we show this, it's the whole budget. So the increase decrease, actually, we saw an increase 4.6 million overall, but almost all of that is related to one-time funding. The 5.5 million, the 2 million that are over the next 2 to 5 years. Really, when we focus on, if you look here, you look at the decrease, you have $2.8 million decrease to the fund balance unrestricted. That's in that first column, unrestricted 22, 23, right there. When we adopted the budget, that was a couple $100,000 of an excess of expenditures over revenues. But almost all of the difference there is really one-time commitments. The carryover of $1.3 million, the $500,000 emergency preparedness allocation that was approved by the board, as well as $600,000, which is 1/2 of the commitment to fund the 2023 health and welfare benefits at the higher level.
All right, thank you.
No follow up. So this was the Mark Friedman question, and I think you answered the question once again, because in terms of carryovers, you just enumerated what those carryovers pretty much were.
Yeah.
So we were not, because Mark always questioned whether it was fluff in the budget and we ought to take it all out or something. But it sounds like the money that's being carried over is in fact restricted. A lot of restricted money or money that's earmarked for specific expenditures.
Correct. The only thing on the unrestricted side of the budget that we carry over is unrestricted money at the sites. So our site level, that's the $1.3 million. No other department, no other
So you're not
program.
You keep letting them
We're
keep it.
just at the school sites.
Right. I think that's great. And I keep doing that.
Yes.
It's because you have a school site.
Well, duh. I know how important it is to principals. All right. Anyone else? Yancy, thank you so much for doing
Thanks,
this.
Yancy.
for us.
Thank you, everybody.
Good report.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any
Need a motion?
fraction? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the first interim.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Lehia, second. Motion by Bob, seconded by Lehia. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Yes. Terry?
Aye.
Yes. Lehia? Oh,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
There you go.
God, see, this back and forth is killing me.
That was back and forth.
Usually it's like just one row.
Not gonna change anything.
Bob's yes.
Yes.
Okay, Lehia?
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't think you get away that easy because I think we're next presentation of acceptance of the independent auditor's report of fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2022.
Let me move back here.
Yeah, okay.
Char, I think James Marta. All right. So coming on is James Marta of James Marta and Company. They are external auditors. Every year, we're required to have an audit in September. Before September 15th every year, the board approves the unaudited actuals, which then go to our auditors. They go and they look at our internal controls, they look at our balance sheet, they look at our income statement, and then they make findings, recommendations, and then by December 15th of each year, those need to be completed. And by January 31st of the next year, so in this January, they need to be brought to the board. Our practice is that we always try to bring it before December 15th of the year. So I think James Marta is going to be jumping on.
I am on. I just I don't see my video able to start. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
And
we just can't see you.
Boy, and I have my tie on and everything.
Sure,
my Christmas tie. well, you know, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and you want me to share my screen, and then I can move through it a little bit easier with the presentation.
All right.
And because I think I can.
There you go.
Okay, you can see it. So
that's you're controlling the screen now.
Okay, I want to go through this. You know, my job is to give you the results, but also give you perspective of what's going on. And unfortunately, there's like a whole agenda for my presentation. But don't worry, I'll move through it. I need to communicate. I need to let you know certain items as those charged with governance. I need to communicate that. That's really came from the Enron and WorldCom issues that they had in the industry, and they came over to the government where we make sure that we communicate to the board certain things. I'm going to give you the report on the financial statements, and then we have other compliance things that we're going to report to you on. And that helps you serve your oversight. So the scope of our engagement was to perform a financial audit, the state compliance, and we have specialized disclosures and testing for schools. There's federal compliance and report on internal controls. So what we have to report to you is the responsibility on the financial statements is management's. So when you look at the 90-page report, you might think, oh, that's the audit report, but really it's just the letter in the front. The rest is the representation of management. Now we work really closely and we help prepare that report with them, but our job is to issue an opinion on it, and our opinion is unmodified. We work closely with them. We have questions. We do a lot of testing, a lot of state compliance and federal compliance. And then we separately have bond audits that we'll report to the bond audit committees. And those bond activities are included in the overall financial operations of the district. We have to report to you that there was no other consultations with other independent auditors, like opinion shopping, no disagreements, and management at the end gave representations that they gave full and complete information. We also report to you whether they changed any accounting, and so they are following the accounting policies that they've had in the past. And one of the examples of things that could change is, remember a few years ago that pension liabilities weren't on the books, and then they changed, they are on the books. And so that was a big accounting change. So if something like that happened, we'd have to tell you. The other thing we need to report to you is what are the significant estimates. Estimates of collectability of receivable. It's relatively low risk for the school district because it's usually federal and state grants. But the other big estimate is pension liabilities, and Yancey has reported to you today talking about how those liabilities may change due to the investment returns and other assumptions that by the actuaries. So the audit procedure is more than us just checking the numbers to say, do they match to documentation? We have to understand the controls, the systems, policies, and procedures to see whether they're following it, whether we can rely on it. We test those systems. We gather other evidence and do other calculations and review the accounting methods underlying all of it. So an audit is very encompassing in the operation of the financial reporting systems. The audit was prepared as planned, no findings and no significant adjustments, so it's a good audit. So touching on the financial statement from a high level, as I said, the opinion is unmodified. That's the best the auditor gives. The management discussion and analysis comes after the opinion. That is written by management, not the auditors. It's designed to aid you in understanding the financials overall, understanding overall what happened during the year. Did the financial position improve or deteriorate, or the principal reasons driving that? It's a good resource for the board and other users to get an understanding of what happened before you read the full financials. So overall, this is a comparison of current to prior year. The blue column is the current and the orange the prior year. So it shows the assets. So they're relatively comparable. Deferred inflows, outflows, those other smaller columns are really related to the pension and a little bit on the debt. And then your liabilities have decreased. So that has to do partly with pension adjustments and partly with paying down debt. So we show a net position at a negative. And anybody who knows financials should say, why is that negative? And so I'm here to answer that question. So I'm posing the question, saying that's the question you should ask on these. So if you look at the financial statements, the net position, this is all activities, all grouped up, all funds, all debt, all capital assets. And it shows unrestricted a negative 117,000. You might say, hey, Yancey didn't show me that in the general fund. Why is that a negative? And so on the next page here, I'm just going to go through this to the next. It's largely because your total debt is 29 million, but included in that is 703 million that is really going to be paid by the homeowners. So you got the benefit of issuing debt to build your buildings, your schools, other capital projects and improvements. And we're showing 703 million on your books as a liability, but you will never have to pay that. The homeowners pay that. And the resources to pay this will come from taxes. And it's not the general tax, this is specific bond tax that's for this. So that won't erode your other funding. But if you look at the prior page and we see a negative 117 million, but we realize that 700 million is really going to be paid from others, then your net is really about over 500 million that you're in the positive. So no concerns about that. But also included that as pension liabilities that you have to pay. And you're not going to pay for that by selling buildings. And so that from a cash flow standpoint is going to be your future budgetary issue. And as Yancey said, when he talked about that funding is, they have actuarial mandated funding formulas that will come up with that. And one of the reasons they changed the accounting a number of years ago to book the pension liabilities so that management and the board can better understand the total cost of commitments that you have made. So the bond debt or other debt, there's a debt schedule and you have to pay it. With the pensions, those weren't on the books before, and actuarially, there's assets that might earn or in some years not earn as much. And so they're coming up with those formulas. So what the district's going to have to do in the future is they're going to have make choices between what is spent on, certainly you have to pay your pension, but you have other benefits and other salaries. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more when we look at more of the expenses. Your total revenues were 283 million, so higher than the prior year, and part of that accretion. So we're looking backwards. Yancey was showing your budget projections, and so most of that accretion is from property tax, and then your expenses are lower this year. And the principal change in your expenses is really timing of interest payments. And so you have a change in net position of 43 million, although it does show that negative that we talked about. So looking at your expenses over your revenues overall increased by 12 million. And your expenses decreased, but that was largely driven by the interest expense on the debt here. And there's depending on the debt, there's different payment terms and periods that would affect that. But most of that is being paid by outside bonded debt payments from homeowners, but it shows on your financials. So if we go ahead and look overall, your overall revenues, 85% is from the local control funding formula, but for your district, most of that is funded through local taxes. And so your tax base is so big that you are considered a basic aid district, meaning you exceed the state's minimum allocations they have for each district. And so they just give you a basic amount. And then so you are really funded more generously because of your tax base. Going to the expenses, if you look at your expenses here, you have about 82% are salaries and benefits. So if your pension responsibility is included in that benefit section, and so if that increases, then the other pieces of the pie are going to have to give way. So that means that's going to be how much you can put towards salary. So that can be headcount, or it can be amount of salaries that are paid. So that's the reality of how you're going to have to deal with that in the future. Unfortunately, these other wedges, books and supplies, pretty small, and other services and operating are not as flexible, because for many years a lot of those have been curtailed or cut down. Moving on, this is now Yancey did show more detailed projections, but this is in your audit report and is there for you and users to understand. So your available reserves as a percentage of outgo, this is measured differently than we show on the financials. It's certain funds is at the 3%. So that's kind of at a more minimum level. So you don't have considered a super funded. Now, the reason why this number might differ from the front, where you see some extra funds perhaps, is because this is all unrestricted from a fund standpoint, not government-wide. As I think one of the board members mentioned, it said, hey, looks like your ADA has decreased a little bit. I probably could save money making this graph and bring up the one of all my other districts, and it's the same thing. So as Yancey said, and actually I just did a presentation this evening right before yours. It looked exactly like this. We had a drop. So you're the same as others. So that gives you perspective that the enrollment, the attendance was a little bit depressed due to COVID activities. So the audit is really a critical process. And so your staff has to work a lot, not just giving us the financial information, but a lot of compliance items, state compliance, federal compliance, a lot of details. And so I'm happy to report on the independent auditor's report for compliance with state laws and regulation, no matters to report. And given the magnitude of items we look at, that's very good. We report on internal control and compliance. The reason why we have this complex box here, it's a model of we have to look at your organization in many ways and facets, and we had no items to report. And on federal compliance, no items to report. So that's auditor speak of saying good job. Moving on, we also, for accountability, we report to you the status of findings that we reported in the prior year. We had 2 findings. One on payroll. There were some cases, a couple cases in the prior year where there was certain career increments that needed to be adjusted in the payroll, and that didn't happen on a timely basis. And management had taken care of that, but they are coming up with a spreadsheet to track those. So that's not something that's really in the payroll system. It's managing what achievements or career increments according to the salary schedules. And so they've come up with a way to do that. And we looked at that and we didn't find any instances in this year. Moving on to the student body. Student body is under less control of management than the central accounting, and they tend to have findings from year to year, and that's normal. And so they had their system of tracking some fundraisers and receipts did not meet the standards that you would expect in a business office, and we're required to audit to that standard. And so we found that the receipts were not having a good verification of how much they earned in events. For example, if you had a dance and everybody had to pay $1 and 100 people came in, you should have tickets that show how many tickets to match that up. So they've put more of those processes in place. Now, what happens is at the school sites, you have volunteers, you have teachers assisting. And so from year to year, sometimes it's a constant training. It's not like your business office that has regular accountants in there and systems. And so this does happen from time to time, but they've addressed it. We went and followed up on the remedy of this and found that that has been implemented. But in conclusion, the district financial condition is good. They continue to benefit from strong financial management. I think the issues that the Yancey has brought up and the board has asked are the right ones. How are you going to deal with the increasing pension? That's why that has been put on the books, so that you can understand the cost of the commitments that have been made in the past, and how you're going to adjust your budgets to continue to meet those obligations. I really would like to thank Yancey, Valerie, and Vanessa, so the two V's, and all the staff, because this is a hard process, but we work hand in hand with them, and we have a successful audit to report to you. With that, are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? Bob?
Just a quick one. Were there any new pronouncements adopted?
Not in, let's see, we had some pronouncements on leases, but we did not have any that met that requirement. So there was a new pronouncement to capitalize leases, but you have a threshold, just like with depreciation, of a threshold of how big the asset has to be before you start implementing it. So none that had to be implemented for your district.
Okay, it looked like the threshold was $5 million. Is that correct?
And that I don't recall what it is, Yancey.
And your people back here in the back are shaking their heads, so we see that's what you miss by not being in the room, because I thought that threshold was fairly large, and because I'm sure there's a lot of other lease obligations that probably individually are not material, but there's probably a lot of copiers and a lot of stuff rolling around here within the district that probably does add up to millions of dollars of lease obligations.
Well, and certainly those. So this had, this is if you leased a building and you had leased payments, like you leased an office building, they would make you capitalize that long-term lease in there and add that as a right of use asset. And so that situation is not as prevalent in a school district as you own your properties. So it's not really, those other leases are capitalized as needed. This has to do with more of these other properties. And the measure of that 5 million was a percent of the total assets of the district, I believe. And I think they measured like a 3% threshold.
The materiality.
Yes.
You remember, I'm the auditor on the board, so.
Yes. And if that was implemented, any of those leases, that 5 million would be the valuation of the total lease commitment. So if you had a 5-year lease, they would add up all the payments for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll take a round. You do? Go ahead.
I want to thank you for your presentation. I was wondering, when I looked within the 90-page document that's on our board agenda, I couldn't find all the wonderful graphs that you had that you just shared with us. The one, but I really like the one with the expenditures broken out by category.
Well,
I was just wondering if all the graphs are included in the 90-page document.
That presentation is the presentation we prepared. So that those are not all in there. However, in the MD&A section that management does, they have some comparable graphs. If you look on page 10 and 11, they have some comparable graphs on the revenues and expenses. They actually look nicer than mine. So you should look at those.
Similar, right?
And those were the pie graph.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes.
pie graph regarding the budget. I was wondering if we got a pie graph that was displayed with expenditures.
Yeah, see, they have a,
Not that one.
The next one, yeah.
yeah, and if you looked on page 11 of the report, in the management discussion analysis, this is the one that they prepare. Much nicer than mine. It has the rounded corners and everything.
I see that, but it doesn't look like that.
It's the same breakdown with numbers.
You know, if you don't want to read the 90 pages, Terry, you should read the,
It's 90, not 90, not 9.
no, I said 90.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to read them, you should read the management discussion and analysis, because that is written in white paper, plain English, to explain, the highlights. Are you better, the purpose of that, are you better off or worse off than you were in the prior year?
But Yancey, going back to what Terry's asking, I think it's again that slideshow that we'd like to get.
Right.
So we'd have access to it before the meeting.
Before.
Okay. I'd like to get that.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Perfect. I was just going to ask about, if there's no other questions, I'll take a turn. With the student body funds, I mean, always the case. This is nothing new. I've seen it like time and time again. Are we doing anything, any efforts to shore it up, or, talk to ASB about it, or I don't know. I'm just asking in general.
Yeah. So actually, I'm excited. So James was noting last year's finding around that and what we did to implement this year. And I want to just say, Valerie, Vanessa, amazing job. No findings at all this year, which is just incredibly impressive.
Wow.
One thing just to that point though, I mean, yeah, you're putting your hopes on 15-year-old kids taking tickets. So sometimes there are things that slip through the cracks, but we have actually an ASB trainer for procedures coming out in January that Vanessa
good.
and Valerie
Yay.
put together. And I think we have like 50 plus people coming, advisors, administrators, site accounting technicians, all the folks who are working with it, really getting with the expert and really bringing. One thing that we do a great job of, and I say we, but I mean the business team does a great job of, is we actually bring in those payments in-house. So even though a lot of the work is done at the sites, it does have a high level of scrutiny around the expenditure sides. We continue to move forward and try to use electronic payments, other things like that, to really limit the scope of what the students really kind of have to be responsible for. We kind of try to put guardrails up to support them. And that's some great work by our sites and by obviously our business team.
Excellent. Thank you. On a side note, I wanted to go back. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So maybe Yancey, I can get a little tutorial on the 104 million of, debt, the pension liability. Is that annual? Is that, so I need to know my lesson, and you don't need to do it here, is with that $104 million liability that was in the audit, how does that relate to our debt, our obligations annually with the increasing number of percentages that we're expected to pay at the contribution? Very complicated. I just want to get a lesson. This could be offline. I don't need it right now.
the 30 seconds though is that we are paying those much higher rates, and the normal cost of that, meaning what people are actually technically from an actuarial standpoint earning each year, is actually significantly lower than what the state mandates. That additional funding above that cost is what is going to pay down that
their obligation
at the state
obligation,
level.
not
So, but our
obligation,
specific obligation
Right.
is actuarially funded $104 million at that point. Our audit report also notes the impact of interest rates and what discount rate you look at. And it shows just if you increase 1 or decrease 1%, what that actually would do to the number. And it's actually significant. So that's why we look at this new environment and, really what we're doing. So more to come in the spring.
I'd love a tutorial on that.
And Yancey, I might add that the district does not have discretion, although Yancey said they're paying more. That's a mandated paying more. So I think in 2013, the state said, hey, we need to see that the governments are making progress on this. And so they went ahead and came up with a scenario where they wanted mandated additional contributions to cover this, so that you start eating this down. There will be times where the liability that you show on the books of 104 million is not your total liability. It is your net liability. So that's the liability less the assets they have on hand, net to the 104 million. So if those assets next year, when the actuary values it, go down, your liability might go up a little bit. But this is a long game. It's kind of like some people look at like global warming. Okay, how are we going to take care of it? It's a long game to take care of. And so you just keep working on it,
Hence, I just wanted a tutorial later. It's complicated. James, thank you very much. Seeing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion for acceptance of the independent auditor's report.
I'll move adoption of the audit reports.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Lehia seconds, with a motion by Bob, a second by Lehia. All those in favor. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Terry,
Aye.
how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lehia, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote yes as well. So 5-0, the acceptance of the independent auditor's report. Thank you. Nancy and James, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Moving on, our next agenda item is the authorization to negotiate purchase property located at 870 Hinckley Road, Burlingame, California. Assessors parcel number 026310490, government code 7267.
So we are tonight asking for approval to move forward in the process of acquiring the property on Hinckley directly adjacent to the relocated Peninsula High School and across the street from our maintenance operations and facility use building. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? A motion?
I so move.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Seconded. So motion by Lehia, seconded by Terry. All those in favor. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Aye. And Lehia?
Aye.
And I will vote aye as well. 5-0.
Motion ping pong.
Motion carried. All right, moving on. Construction. Oh, okay. Do I have to do a public hearing and close the meeting and open for a public hearing?
You have to open for a public hearing.
Okay,
correct?
so I'm going to close the board meeting. Open to a public hearing. And so the public hearing is to open to increase developer fees. How do we want to?
Yeah, so this is a requirement of the developer fee, impact fee process. Every 2 years, the state updates its allowable rate to impose developer fees. And so earlier this year, the state updated that rate. So, and I'll get into the details of that as we move forward, but part of the process is to allow for a public hearing for anybody who wants to speak on the matter that has interest in it. So
since we opened for a public meeting, is there any comments or questions from the audience? Thank you very much. Seeing none, I'm going to close the open public hearing, reopen our board meeting. And now we're going to go to number 2, which is acceptance and adoption of the justification study, adoption resolution number 22-2317.
all right. So in 1986, the state of California passed the process for districts to impose construction impact fees. So every 2 years, the state of California approves the updated allowable developer fee rate. In order to impose those fees, school districts are required to perform a justification study. That study is to review, is the impact of that construction equal to or above the level in which you are imposing. We engaged King Consulting, who does our state bond funding work, and to perform that justification study. The study has showed that the impact of those new construction, both residential and industrial commercial, is actually much higher than the fees that the school district imposes. One key factor here is the state allows or approves a total rate for K-12 districts across the state. So we have an agreement with our partner and our feeder districts, however you want to look at it, that they get 60% of the rate and we get 40% of the rate. That's because they have 9 grades, we have 4 grades, although our facilities are a little more complicated. So that's kind of how the breakdown works. Alrighty. So
60-40 with all partner districts.
with
'Cause I was
with
looking at
every
it-
partner district, correct?
Yeah, because I was looking at it and I saw San Mateo Foster City as evidence, but I couldn't-
Correct. Yeah, and the reason we put that in there is we actually collect the fees on behalf of San Mateo Foster City so that it's a one-stop shop that people don't have to go to 2 different districts to do that. I will note that, you know, what we are asking for is an acceptance and adoption of the justification study tonight. And then the adoption of the resolution, which would adopt and approve the new rates of $1.92 for residential and 31 cents for commercial industrial. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, entertain a motion to, I'm sorry, so it was approve the resolution. and there
To
was 2
Accept the
parts.
study,
Accept
accept the study and approve.
And
the
approve
rest.
the resolution.
Perfect.
So those 2 components.
Move adoption.
Okay, Bob moves for adoption. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jennifer moves for a second. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Lehia?
Aye.
And I will vote aye as well. So 5-0 with the resolution and the acceptance of the report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Division of Human Resources, approval of personnel actions. Dr.
Personnel
Scott.
actions and addendum for approval.
Any questions?
No,
Any
no
movements?
recognitions.
All right, y'all, who's going to accept this? We have to accept this with a motion in a second.
I so move.
Okay, moved by Lehia. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Terry seconded. So a motion to approve the personnel actions and addendum by Lehia, second by Terry Chavez. Jennifer, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Aye. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Lehia?
Aye.
And I will vote by aye as well. So 5-0 for personnel actions. Next, Administrative Assistant 2 job description.
This is a job description for Administrative Assistant 2 to the Superintendent's Office. After the smooth transition to Mr. Booker, Superintendent Booker, we have much more project-based activities in the Superintendent's Office, and we're using our Administrative Assistant 3, Ms. Aquino, to more to her talents and experience. So this position, the Administrative Assistant 2, would be doing more of the work that like preparing agendas, taking notes, notifying participants at meetings, preparing materials, and following up on meetings and those types of things.
So you're adding a head count to the superintendent's office.
Yeah, now Trustee Griffin might remember, we used to have 2, Charlie McNay used to be in the superintendent's office, so we're kind of going back to where we were pre-COVID or even years before that.
Okay, any questions?
If there's, do we need approval?
Yeah.
If there's no discussion, I'll move.
I'll second that.
Okay. I do have one question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask a question. How does this go into the budget?
This will be included in the second interim if approved tonight.
Got it. Thank you. That's an increase for you. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
No, that was where I was going, that we should be concerned and we should watch head count like a hawk, because you know, even though it looks like we have a lot of money, it goes real quick. You know, when it goes,
We
real
keep looking at each other.
Yeah, no, as so, you know, in the past, I think we always wanted to know head count as part of a big budget plan. And we didn't like head count that wasn't planned and budgeted. Now, I know stuff comes up and this is probably a very compelling need, but still, I think we're going to continue to watch it. because I think every position needs to be identified as in the budget,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I think I echoed the same thing. I think it's a definite need and I think we can totally justify it and I think we should. But I do think looking at headcount like this in a like a one-off kind of can be dangerous because then we're looking at major changes and it's like, wait a minute, we said yes to this, but. So I think we're making an exception to a rule because I think it's very justified, but
it
I
is.
think overall we really need to be careful and especially with a new board, with a headcount like this changing, it's like, you know, we got to be careful. That's all I'm gonna say, but I don't disagree. There's a motion in a second. I think it's time for us to vote. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry?
Aye.
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 Bob? Aye. Leah?
I vote yes, but I guess in the future, if we could have a justification added to a description or whatever else is in the reporting. Just to know that, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That
just going
make
back to the
people
warning of
comfortable.
headcount and I saw some nods in the back, so I'm cool with that. All right, I'll vote yes as well. Motion 5-0, motion passed and we have the position. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next one is multilingual communication specialist job description.
Yes, this is part of our efforts to be more inclusive and diverse in our communication. It's very exciting. It would add another position to our communication department, but it would be one that's multilingual through a variety of resources and communication methods.
Okay,
I move. Sorry,
okay,
go
there's a
ahead.
motion by Lehia. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Terry. All right, with a motion in a second, Jennifer, how do you, question,
Oh.
Bob? I
Is
don't get
this
away
in,
that
is
easy.
this in the budget? Where
It
was,
will
when
be.
was this in the budget?
So this one is a little bit different because it will be there are costs in the budget right now related to translation and other services. So these are outside services that we're bringing in-house. Now, it's probably not the entire amount. I do want to be clear, but it's a significant amount of this position. So this will be the primary person that will be looking at those kind of things. And we've seen our translation budgets, just increase significantly over the last few years. And so this is a big part of this is actually bringing in-house what we're paying more for, not from a position. So this one's a little
So
bit
you're
different.
reprogramming some of the budget.
Correct.
Could
Okay.
you
Yeah.
just send us an update in one of your reports to like, what's the percentage of just shifting the budget within the translation and what's gonna have to be extra?
Yeah, we can,
You just do
yeah.
it just in a weekly.
Yeah, we can do that. The bigger savings will be, obviously in the out year. So I'll probably note the
If you can, yeah.
23-24 amount so that it's the full cost and the full savings.
That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
good.
almost more structured.
Okay,
Mhm, yeah.
so there's a motion
No, I still got.
and a comment.
And it's, the question actually goes to the description, multilingual communication specialist. So is this person expected to have outreach, or is this person expected to speak several languages, or is it a combination of all of those? Because there's, how many, I think at one point we said there was like 80 languages spoken within the district, some huge number. So we can't have somebody that speaks everything, but I'm just curious what the functional role of the job is.
I can jump in there a little bit. So I've been working with Ms. Chalkley around our communications department and looking at, obviously this person isn't going to speak, 17 languages, right? But this person's expertise is really looking at the way that we communicate through the lens of our community that doesn't speak, that English isn't their first language. One of the things that we do right now is we take pieces of communication, we write them from an English point of view and then translate them into Spanish or Mandarin, whatever it might be. What we're hoping that this position will do is look at our communications not from an English first perspective, but not just with language, but with culture, cultural idioms, ways of speaking, better ways of communication. So it's not an English first, translation second, but a second language first, both in language and in culture, as a way that we communicate. So it is looking at our translation services much differently, and I think much more culturally respecting or appropriate, sensitive. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the way that a lot of places are going. I mean, it's going out of the English lens per se, which is a complete privilege since people are from this country, and then giving it that different perspective. So it's competitive. Mhm.
Yeah, I just, Randall, you just gave a good explanation, and I think that's really good that we
Yeah.
have it that way. So, okay, there's a motion and a second. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry?
Aye.
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 Aye. Bob? Aye. Leah?
Aye.
And I will vote aye as well. 5-0, motion carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to athletic director job description.
Yes, as part of the instructional leadership initiative, we increased the FTE of athletic directors at the sites from 0.4 to 1.0. And along with that, we modified their job description to include more responsibilities at events and throughout their workday. This is the second time this has been to the board for approval. Last time was for discussion and this week for approval.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
All right, Bob makes a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, Jennifer second. So motion by Bob, seconded by Jennifer. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Leah?
Aye.
Aye, and I vote aye as well, 5-0. My head's gonna start spinning, going back and forth. It's kind of funny. All right, moving on to tier 2 mentor job description.
Tier 2 is supports that we provide students outside of class time. This is a stipend position paid for by the AG completion grant funds, not the general fund. So these people would be paid on a stipend to help students outside of class to attain graduation credits and A to G completion.
And this is our MTSS tier 2 is what you're saying.
Right.
MTS tier 2, yeah.
Just a little clarification.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Anyone motion or question?
I'm waiting for questions before I
Questions?
move.
Go
Go ahead. No, I'm just
Any
saying
questions?
questions.
Nope, doesn't look like any questions. We like it, or no questions. Is there a motion?
I move.
Okay, Leah, there's a motion by Leah, a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Terry, second. Okay, motion made by Leah, seconded by Terry. Next time I'm going to take that as a yes, and you're going to do it. You're going to get credit for that. All right, Leah, because it's like y'all can move along, but you got to do talking too. Otherwise, I'm going to start seconding things because I was the one in the audience usually doing that. Anyway, in the group. All right, motion made by Leah, seconded by Terry. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry?
Aye.
Aye. Bob?
Aye.
And Leah?
Yes.
Yes, and I vote yes as well. So 5-0 on that. Thank you. Motion carried. Next one is DG Coaching Consulting amended scope of work.
DG Coaching and Consulting is our diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility consultant, and the board approved this contract earlier in the year for $17,500. This does not add to that. It just changes the scope of work from the recruiting and interviewing and hiring and onboarding work that we did last year to an equity audit, or really diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility audit that they're going to lead us on this year, which would start with board approval of the scope of work change in January, and we'll have results in May.
Is there a motion?
I move.
Okay, so moved
I
by
second
Leah,
that.
seconded by Terry. Jennifer, how do you vote? Oh, question.
Yeah.
Question.
Somebody's got to have a quick question.
I knew you would.
So there's going to be an audit. Are we going to have the opportunity to see the results of that audit?
Yes, that will be in May, and the audit will be a combination of focus group meetings, interviews with 20 to 50 individuals by phone, and then surveys of both students and staff. And all that will be combined into the findings of the audit.
Okay.
And the audit will be
presented to
under
the board.
those, and the findings will be presented to the board either on a weekly or a presentation.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question? So when you say, like last year you did the recruitment, interviewing, hiring processes, you did an audit of that already?
No, it wasn't an audit, but we used this consultant to guide that work. So we revised the way that we ran interviews, the way we onboarded people, the way we recruited, the wording of our job descriptions, those type of things. And DG Coaching and Consulting was our consultant for that
Okay,
work.
so that part has already been done and implemented.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is money that is like renewed for this year?
Okay,
or-
so that work was, we used them to do that work last year. It's never really done, I guess, but we want to change the focus of this consulting work towards an equity audit. That other work still is ongoing, but now we're doing it in-house, and we're using DG Coaching and Consulting, hopefully for this DEIA audit.
Mhm.
Okay,
Where we used them last year for those other things, now we're using them for the audit.
I understand.
We're-
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, was there a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, motion by Leah,
Uh-huh.
seconded by Terry. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Bob?
Aye.
All right. Leah?
Aye.
Okay, and I will vote aye as well, 5-0, motion carried. Okay, 7, World Trust.
World Trust is, so we're having classified professional development days on January 30th and 31st. We put out a request for proposal for organizations to lead that effort, and it would be under our equity mission and vision work. This would be for tailored towards classified employees, which a lot of the work that we've done in this area on professional development days in the past have been more maybe classroom focused. This would be focused towards the classified folks, and it'll be 2 days at San Mateo High School. And this World Trust was the best. We have a committee made up of the president of the CSCA and the president of AFSCME. And that committee looked at all the different proposals, and World Trust was the one that pretty much answered our questions and presented a 2-day plan that met what we were hoping for.
Thank you.
Yeah, looking around, asking around different people, it's a pretty reputable organization, so
Oh, well,
I move if there's no discussion.
All right. Motion by Leah,
I'll second that.
seconded by Terry. Jennifer, how do you vote? Or any questions?
No questions. Aye.
Okay. Terry, how do you
Aye.
vote? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Okay. Leah?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. 5-0, motion carried for World Trust. Next is acceptable use policy update.
This is all of our employees sign acceptable use policy for using a technology, both hardware and software. Ours needed an update to it. Director Simon Bettis in the back, he went to a conference and learned about the latest updates that many districts are incorporating in their acceptable use policy. And then we contacted our county council, and they suggested that we use the California School Boards Association template and then add the things that we learned at the conference and whatnot. And that is this, that the result is this new acceptable use policy.
Is this going to be in updated in our policies? Like,
It'll be an
we're gonna
exhibit, yes.
So it's not now. This is just taking the exceptions of
This is what the employees will actually get, and then this document will be part of the exhibit tied to the policy.
and you'll have that updated for the board
Yes.
policy updates.
Mhm, yes.
Okay. All right. And it's for employees only, not students.
We have one for students,
That's what I
but
was
this is for employees.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that'll come separate maybe later.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, excellent.
Is there an equivalent? Is there an update to the student policy as well? Going to come later, an update?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe it's good as it is.
Any other questions? Motion?
Move, I so move.
Okay, Leah moved. Second.
Second.
All right. So motion by Leah, second by Bob. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Terry?
Aye.
Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Okay, Leah?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 5-0. Thank you.
Now I know why Linda was so quick with this, huh?
Hey, that's what we were like, had a system. You
Yeah.
guys are getting there. All right. I believe that is it.
No,
have
we got
nothing.
classified
What?
schedule.
Wait, we do.
9. Item
Nine?
9.
Uh-oh. Did I miss that? Oh, yeah, 2022-23 classified salary schedule update. My apologies.
Yes, we did an audit to our classified salary schedule, and there were positions that had either been reclassed, retitled, or just added to the staffing that weren't on the schedule, and now we've included them.
Okay. Motion.
I so move.
Leah, thank you.
I second that.
Second by Terry. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Terry.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Leah. Aye. Okay, 5-0. Now I can say we're down to almost adjournment. Is there any requested board items?
I don't think so.
There's no P, Q,
Nothing.
R.
Yeah.
Now, I usually S is reserved for anybody who has anything on their in their minds. If not, we'll call it adjourn. All right. Well,
Great.
I want to see Bob do this one more time.
and we're done. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.